Hi guys, so today we are going to containerize our React app and deploy it on AWS ECS using GitHub Actions workflow. So this is the architecture here. So whenever a developer pushes code into our GitHub repo, it will trigger our GitHub action workflow. Then then the workflow will build and push the image on AWS ECS. Firstly, it will log in into our AWS infra. Then it will build and push the image into AWS ECR, which is Elastic Container Repository, and then deploy a container on AWS ECS using that image. So this is the architecture, and let's move forward with our AWS infrastructure setup. So for AWS infrastructure setup, we will require one AWS ECR registry, one ECS cluster, including ECS service and task definition. And also we are going to create one OpenID Connect role for our GitHub Actions. So yeah, let's do this. So for ECR registry, I've already created a private one. You can just simply create like this. Select private, name the repository, and click on the create repository button. Okay, so I already have one. So let's move ahead with our ECS setup. Create a cluster first. Cluster name, we'll name it React App Cluster. Okay, we'll go with AWS Target Serverless. Okay, so cluster creation is in process. Meanwhile, we can create one task definition. We'll name it React App TD 0.5 V CPU and 1 GB of RAM. ECS task execution role. Okay, so let's name the container default for now. And image URI. We'll take our image URI from ECR. Container port is 3000. Take this. Have any? Yeah. Create now ECS service. Create service, launch type, target, service, PDF latest revision. So the latest revision is 9. Service name, we'll name it React App Service Replica 1. Okay. Security group, we'll check that later. Okay, so let's create one OpenID Connect. So for creating an OpenID Connect for GitHub Actions, we have a documentation here. Let's follow this documentation saying add OpenID Connect is go to the IAM identity provider. Let's go there, identity provider. Add one identity provider, OpenID Connect. Let's copy this token, provider URL, my bad, audience STS. Okay, let's get the thumbprint. Let's add. So now we have to assign a role to our identity provider. Okay, let's assign one. Let's create a new role. GitHub organization 13A Mohit. Next, we'll give this role one ECS full access permission and ECR put permission. This one. Yeah. Next, we'll name the role GitHub CI/CD. Create role. Okay. So our AWS infra setup is no. We have to change the trust policy of the role. Trust relationship policy. Yeah, this one. Copy this. Edit the policy. Yeah. So org is 13A Mohit. Repo name is, let's check the repo name. This looks good. Let's go. Update the policy. For testing purpose, I'll give this another role, S3 full access. We'll test by running a command AWS S3 ls. Okay. So our AWS infra setups looks good, and let's go and create one workflow file. So this is the code I took from an open source React app repo. Yeah. Yeah. So let's create our workflow file. We'll name our workflow file deploy.yaml, and the workflow file should be in this uh, directory structure .github workflow, and then the name of the workflow. Okay, so let's name the workflow deploy ECS workflow. Okay, we'll make a trigger here on push branches main. So whenever a developer pushes to the main branch, that will trigger the workflow, and we can see the actions here. Okay, so let's create one job. Let's create one job. Name it as deploy hyphen ECS. Sorry, underscore ECS. This job will runs on Ubuntu latest. Okay, so let's go with the steps now. We'll check out the repo code first. Code checkout. So how to check out code? Let's search for an action for that. So now we have to configure our OIDC role in the pipeline. The documentation. Give the permission to the workflow here. Okay. Uh, this job will do. Figure AWS credentials. Yes. The ARN. What is the ARN? Let's copy the ARN. Pasted. Sample role system. Move it. GitHub actions. Role session. Go to one. Okay. So let's create one secret for the repository. Name the secret AWS account. Yeah. And the value will be this. Okay, CD. I am. Okay. So let's check whether our role is working or not. To check that, we'll run a command called AWS S3 ls. Okay. So this will check. This will output the list of the bucket. So we are pushing the code to the main branch, and that will trigger the workflow. Let's see. So you see here, the workflow, the workflow is triggered. So as you can see here, completed successfully, and it giving us the list of the bucket I have in my account, AWS account. So yeah, this is working. So now we have to set up a, yeah, we have to set up a buildax for our Docker image to build. So let's search for it. So you can use this, and this is the documentation for the action. So I've already created the file, workflow file. I'll copy paste from there. Okay. So this is the step. We are naming it setup build. The ID is buildx. This is the step ID. We can use this step ID later in other steps. Okay. So this is the action. So now we have to configure a caching layer. So let's do the login ECR part first. This job will log into our ECR to push the image. Now set up the caching layer. Cache layer OS build X. Yeah, this looks good. So now this step is to build the image using the Docker file, and it will push the code into our ECR, and we have to tag that image also. The context is the current directory. File is Docker file, and the builder step is step.buildx. As you can see here, we named this step buildx, then steps.buildx.output.name. Push to uh, so this will tag our image. Basically, we are tagging the image with the Mohit tag here. Okay, so this will build and push the image. Now we have to download the task definition and update that task definition with the new image that we created, and then deploy a container using that task definition. Yeah. Okay. Deploy task definition. Download. Let's keep the task definition name in the secret. This is the task definition name. Let's create one more secret. One more secret. Name it task hyphen def value. Set it this secrets dot task underscore def. Okay. The secret image ID in the Amazon ECS task definition render default. So yeah, this looks good. Uh, mm, 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 mm. Okay. So let's deploy the task definition. So it's taking task definition from here. So we downloaded the task definition in the task-definition.json file, then edited that file with the new image, as you can see here, and we are deploying the task definition basically. Okay, so let's get the task definition ARN. These two steps will do that. Task definition, describe, replace this up with this. Okay. Uh, Now let's create a container out of that new task definition. The service name is React App Service, React hyphen app hyphen service. Cluster is React hyphen app hyphen cluster. Okay, let's commit the changes. So this job will take time. I'll pause the. So our workflow failed with an error called invalid task definition. Could not find container definition with matching name. So we have given container name default here, but if we check the task definition, I mistyped here. Default. We have to create a new revision. FAULT. So this is the 10th revision. Okay. And let's run it and I'll pause the video. Okay. Let's rerun the job here. You can rerun from here. So our workflow completed successfully. Now let's see whether it's created a new task definition or not. Change it created two task definition revision. Okay, we have to see that. Then let's see if the new container is up with the latest task definition or not. Service task. So as you guys can see here, a new task has been created with the latest revision. Yeah. Yeah. So let's check whether the application is running or not. This runs on 3000 port. Okay. The application is running. So let's make a small change here. Let's rename this title. Let's test our pipeline. So I'll make a change in the code. RC folder. We have static products. No, not products. JSON. Products. So let's edit this. So let's edit the first one. It says white t-shirt. Title is cropped. Say goofy off white. Check. We're making changes. Same cart or not. Cropped stay goofy off. Yes. So let's make it off instead of off whites. Let's say black. Pushing the change. Completed. Let's check whether it created new revision for us or not. 14th is the latest revision. Service task with the 14th revision. Yes, correct. Get the public IP 3000. So as you can see here, cropped stay goofy black instead of off-white. So yeah, we created the whole architecture here and followed it and also tested the architecture. And so we created a GitHub Actions workflow which builds and pushes image to AWS ECR with the help of Docker file and configures AWS credentials with the OpenID connect role. And so we also created a trigger whenever a developer pushes code into our GitHub repo, then that will trigger the GitHub action and then deploy, build and pushes image to AWS ECR, take that image and deploy that container with the new image. So that's it, guys. I hope you understood the concept here. Thank you. If you have any doubt, feel free to leave a comment in comment box. Thanks, guys.